There's a lot going on in this piece. I see a blue three-tiered platform with red designs, Olympic rings, and numbers. I also see various severed and partially decayed body parts. On the very top of the platform, there's a bird cage containing birds and flowers with two severed hands holding on to the outside. I think that this piece might be about the physical and mental stress that Olympic athletes undergo. Whenever we typically think of an Olympic athlete, we think of people in absolute top physical condition. And obviously, this has an Olympic theme, but the dismembered and decaying body could represent the feeling of pressure that these athletes experience because of the rigorous amounts of training and the fact that it's a lifelong training process. And I assume that that would come along with a lot of social alienation simply because of the nature of how busy they would be with their training. I feel as though that could be represented by the caged birds and the hands prying at the cage, possibly trying to get in or let them out. I think that the flowers could represent the satisfaction of success, especially because they're at the top of the platform, and how even though success is the end goal, it's only a very minimal part of the entire experience. So that goes back to the body parts and like the amount of stress that these athletes would undergo during training and how detrimental that could be to them for this very small, well, not a small victory, but this small part of the entire process. The sculpture was made from 1970 to 1972 by Japanese artist Tetsumi Kudo. Because of the artist's country of origin and the piece's parenthetical title, which is Pollution Olympics, I think that this sculpture could actually have been a statement about the world post-World War II. I say this because the winner's platform could represent war as a competition as opposed to literally representing the Olympics. However, the body parts would seem to be a pretty literal representation of the death toll after the United States bombing of Japan. The decay could be the artist's way of showing the post-nuclear pollution that was still a problem in Japan, because it obviously continued to affect the environment and the people for many, many years, even after the war. I think that this piece is very ironic because of the bright colors and the typically celebratory nature of the winner's platform, but then here it's shown as being covered in these very morbid and very graphic decaying body parts. This kind of juxtaposition to me makes the dark nature of the content included in this piece almost satirical. I would say that this is a good work of art, for one, because it stood out to me immediately. As soon as I saw it, it caught my attention and made me want to look at it more closely. The use of the primary triad makes it very vibrant because those three colors together stand out more than any other color scheme. So that makes it very eye-catching. And then the content, especially posed next to something this bright, draws in the viewer's interest. All of the body parts are also very detailed and very well made, so there's obviously a lot of craftsmanship that goes into this piece. Generally, I don't see interpreting a work of art as being a life-changing experience unless the artist's purpose is very strong and clear, or if I'm a part of the target audience, so the message becomes very personal to me. So in the case of this sculpture, I really appreciate it more for its aesthetic appeal as opposed to anything else that it could elicit from me. I am a little confused by what the museum said about the work, but I do think that my interpretation was somewhat accurate. Apparently, his use of color and content was very affected by post-nuclear ecology, and the piece was actually first displayed at an art festival accompanying the 1972 Munich Olympics. However, a lot of the props used in this sculpture were repurposed from a film in which Kudo was the artistic director, where he clashed with the playwright Eugene Ionesco. The body parts are supposed to represent Ionesco as an anti-humanist European intellectual decomposing on a platform that is usually associated with human tenacity and a community of nations. So it's definitely intended to be very ironic, and in those terms, this piece almost becomes an artistic slam at another artist. So to me, that actually makes it kind of funny, kind of amusing.